Welcome everybody to the November 10th NEWRA meeting. Just so everybody knows, this meeting is being recorded. I'm sure you all just heard that. It will be posted on the NEWRA website tomorrow or over the weekend. So if you want to go back and look at something, or anybody you know that wants to miss the meeting, feel free to go back. As always, I would ask that everybody please be respectful when speaking to your friends, neighbors, and our guests this evening. Let's allow enough time for everyone to speak. We have a really full meeting agenda tonight, and we need to watch timing. A couple of announcements. Some of you may know this already, but there is going to be an outdoor dining committee meeting next Tuesday night. That's being run by John Romano. He is chairing this project for the city. The Tuesday meeting will be followed by a Thursday meeting for everybody in the community on Zoom. So you should have already gotten a notice about that. If you haven't, put something in the chat and we'll get you some information. John was going to try to join us this evening. I know Sierra D'Amico is on here. Sierra is our new North End waterfront liaison to Mayor Wu's office. Another item I wanted to let everybody know about is that next Wednesday, the 16th, the BPDA is holding a public meeting on the Cross Street Hotel. It'll be on Zoom at 6 o'clock Wednesday night. As you know, the project calls for 140 rooms, 2 first-floor restaurants, and seasonal rooftop dining, total capacity 300 plus people. This meeting with the BPDA is going to review the project updates, mitigation, public benefits. That's according to the email I got. NEWRA resent their opposition letter on February 8th to Mayor Wu, the city councilors, in particular, the new city councilors that have come on, and others in city government. Tonight, we have both city council candidates who are running, and they're going to speak for a little bit and then take your questions. So please ask questions. Put on your calendar, May 3rd is the election. We need you to get out and vote. If you haven't already renewed your membership for NEWRA, you can do that by going to our website. You can do it right online and pay for it. Excuse me. We have an addition tonight to our meeting, Alicia Simpson, who's the director of the Nazaro Center. Some of you may have heard about their plans for some lead paint remediation that's going to be starting at the end of the month and run for about 2 months. But Alicia is going to give us a quick update on that, and then we'll hear from Gabriela Coletta. And your mic is open, Alicia.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm Alicia Simpson. I'm the new coordinator at the Nazaro Community Center, and just wanted to let you know that starting on Monday, February 28th, the Nazaro Center will be closed for 2 months to have lead removal project, which will consist of scraping loose flake lead off the ceilings and stabilizing the areas there. Your membership will be good at other community centers if you wish to use them. And we do have a website that you can access any of the programs throughout any of the centers, which is bcyf.perfectmind.com. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat and I'll see if I can get your answers for you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're looking forward to being able to come back to the Nazaro Center and hold our meetings in person, hopefully when this is all done by late spring, early summer.
Yeah, that would be great. Can't wait to get everything going.
Yeah, oh, of course. I think everybody can't wait to get back to normal, whatever that may be. Okay, so thank you very much. First up, I want to introduce, some of you may not know, Gabriela Coletta, Gigi, to those of us who know her well. She is running for the city council seat, which is East Boston, North End, and Charlestown. And Gigi, please tell us about your plans, your thoughts, and we'll take a few questions.
Sounds great. And thank you all so much for having me. I do see some familiar faces here. So hello, good to see you. But I apologize. I have somebody who is vacuuming above me. So that's just the nature of living in a small cramped apartment. So
that's the nature of living in the city. We all have that.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm so sorry if you can hear that coming in, but I'll try to speak up just so folks can hear me. But yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Gabriela Coletta. Please feel free to call me Gigi. That's what folks in the neighborhood call me. I'm a candidate for District 1 Boston City Councilor, soon to be vacated by now Senator-elect Lydia Edwards. I'm a lifelong resident of this beautiful district that I love so much. I'm a proud product of the Boston Public School System, and I've committed my entire professional career in service to my community and to my neighbors. And I'm running because this moment this district requires a leader who is ready to take the job on and advocate effectively for this community and City Hall. As somebody who has literally lived and breathed the nuances and complexities of this particular office as Chief of Staff, I am confident that I am that person. And of course, I hope to earn your support. And I've gotten to know many of you over the last 4 years as Chief of Staff for Councilor Edwards and been ingrained in issues related to the North End. And I've absolutely loved fighting and advocating for this neighborhood and understand that we've had and will have some tough fights ahead of us. So just by way of further introduction, I'll give a brief overview of who I am, where I come from, and then jump into why I'm running and why I believe I'm the best candidate to hit the ground running on day one to fight for this community. So just by way of further introduction, I'm a daughter of East Boston. I continue to live here with my partner, Sebastian. I was raised by 2 community advocates who took me to neighborhood meetings and events like this, but not like this on Zoom, but also took me to protests against airport runway expansion in the 1990s. So even at a young age, I understood that there were injustices happening in our communities by special interests in major institutions, and it took the realized power of residents to fight back. And so I've carried that legacy of activism with me throughout my entire life and made a career out of empowering whole communities and bringing people together from different backgrounds in many languages in order to accomplish great things. So as Chief of Staff to outgoing City Councilor Lydia Edwards, I led an office that serves over 80,000 residents and assisted with upwards of, it was 30 simultaneous policy priorities happening within our committees, oversaw staff working on hundreds of constituent services, or constituent service requests rather, and multiple civic engagement initiatives that intentionally reached out to the community so that folks knew that there was somebody in City Hall that had their back. And I always say that people would call our office when they felt like they needed a quarterback. And that was why I enjoyed the job so much, because I was able to see the impact that we had on a daily basis. And so I'm very proud to have helped lead the fight for affordable housing and especially providing and working with community-based organizations during the pandemic to disperse over $40,000 worth of rental relief stemming from the mitigation of Suffolk Downs. And I also stood with public housing residents at Bunker Hill and went toe-to-toe with developers to hold them accountable to ensure that those residents got safe, dignified, and stable housing in their new homes. Additionally to that, I was there when Lydia couldn't be there, and I was in conversations when she couldn't be there, going toe-to-toe with developers and holding them accountable and making sure that the neighborhood got what they deserved. For me personally, my favorite initiative that I helped to write and pass ultimately was expanding paid parental leave to all city employees last year, both for new moms and dads. It went from 6 weeks to 12 weeks. And this was just a matter of economic and reproductive justice. So I'm very proud of that. And of course, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we mobilized quickly to connect as many residents as possible, including many of our seniors. We made thousands of phone calls to our seniors to make sure that they had food, that they had access to employment resources and housing resources, and just ensure that they were safe. And then for the last 6 months, I've been leading the New England Aquarium's efforts to ensure our waterfront remains resilient, inclusive, and accessible for all Bostonians, regardless of their race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. And so I decided to run for this seat because I do know our best days are ahead of us, and I want to protect this neighborhood. I want to promote the vibrancy of this community. And this district does face unique challenges, and we're going to need somebody who's ready to take the job on day one. And I believe I am that person, and that's a defining difference in this race. Right now, we're dealing with a compounding displacement crisis, both due to gentrification and development. And then in the very near future, there's going to be about 11,000 people who are going to be displaced because of coastal flooding and sea level rise. So I intend to push the city, now armed with millions of dollars from the federal government, to fortify our coastline in order to meet the sea and become resilient in order to protect our community. It's a very urgent issue that will affect this area, and we need to act now. And so layer on top of that, and the entire city of Boston is dealing with a housing affordability crisis. So we can unlock every tool in our toolbox with zoning and various policies, the way that we've attempted in the last year. But now we have a mayor who is friendly to some of these reforms, including reforming the Zoning Board of Appeals to come up with innovative solutions for the challenges that we face today. I would love to see more affordability and deeper affordability so that folks who live here can stay here. And of course, we have structural and systemic inequities in our public education system that require immediate and intentional work as a resource to help solve. And so I intend to continue my work in the council, working with BPS to prioritize equity and specifically focusing on students' mental health and health education following this global pandemic. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that, and it's a really, really important issue. And so I'm running because given all of this, I feel like I have the experience to best fight for this community in an effective way. And all I want to do is just expand access to opportunities for folks in this community. And I promise to be extremely responsive, accessible as city councilor, and we'll focus a lot of time of my time making sure that city council works at its most efficient. And I understand that a lot of the smaller nuts and bolts issues like trash, sidewalks, and streets add up to make a big impact on quality of life. So I'm really excited to represent this district. I know that a city councilor is the closest elected official to the people they represent, and some of the best ideas come from the community. And we have a lot of diversity of lived experience in this district, and everyone, even within this neighborhood, has their own unique perspective to help find some solutions to our most persistent problems. So I would look to the community experts, you as thought partners in this work. If folks who know me know that I'm very inclusive, know that I'm very collaborative, and I will be intentionally always reaching back to you in order to bridge our communities to City Hall to come up with these solutions to make sure that our neighborhoods are protected. And so it would be an honor to represent you in the Boston City Council. And I just want to thank you for your time this evening. And of course, hope to earn your support over the course of this candidacy. If you'd like to find out more information, you can go to GabriellaColetta.com. And I'll be sure to put my contact information in the chat, but just happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Does anybody have any questions? Come on, put those hands up. I'm looking to see if anybody's waving a hand. I do not see any. Hold on. Jen, I'm going to open yours, and then Dave, I'm opening yours. Okay.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Jen, nice to meet you.
I have two questions. I'll just rattle them both off so then you can just answer and be done with me. I wanted to see what your position is on reform of the Zoning Board of Appeal. If you've been part of Lydia's world, I'm sure you've seen multiple debacles occur, which have only gotten worse during COVID because everything's virtual and nobody gets to speak. I got shut down several times. It's kind of disheartening when you spend 3 hours on a meeting and like you can't even speak. But anyways, zoning board appeal, I almost said repeal, which might actually be the right solution. And then BPDA reform, similarly having your planning and development agency combined is the definition of oxymoron, really, and shouldn't be combined. And there's a lot of bad circumstances that have happened because of that. And then my second question is about Boston Public Schools. There's obviously a lot of work to be done there, and I know that Mayor Wu is focused on it, but you know, as I'm sure you know, these neighborhoods have been pretty slammed by the exam school changes, and you know, Elliott's amazing, and people from the Elliott are trying to kind of like spread that around and like try to teach other schools how to do the same thing, and people are getting shut down pretty hard on that. So I'm just curious what your vision is for what needs to change with Boston Public Schools as well.
Yeah, of course. I'll start with the BPDA and the Zoning Board of Appeals. To me, and I'm so sorry that that was your experience, but it seems like that is a commonality among a lot of folks where they take time out of their day and they get shut down by the chairwoman. And it just makes you not want to interact with city government at all. You are supposed to be there to listen to the people. And if you feel like you can't even say what your opinion is, then why are we even here, right? And just as I mentioned before, city government needs to be accessible, it needs to be responsive, it needs to be transparent, but it needs to be able to take feedback in a meaningful way. And so with the Zoning Board of Appeals, for me, it's a symptom of an illness, which is the fact that, you know, the Boston Planning and Development Agency does not separate planning from development. Right now, development dictates planning, and it should be the opposite way around.
How you doing?
So I understand that, you know,
Dave, your mic is open. Hold on. Dave, your mic is open.
Well, she is
Dave.
running.
Hold on, I'm gonna.
Hi, Dave. Nice to see you.
I just closed his mic.
But yeah, so I do support the mayor's initiative to break up planning and development, because if we don't have, so the way that I view planning is like the safeguards when you're bowling, where you can define what your neighborhood is going to look like for generations to come through a master planning process, so that when developers bowl, they know what is expected of them, and so that there's predictability for residents as well as developers. So I would like to see planning happen right away, and then that way there's not this emphasis on building by variance. And it's no secret that that's the way that Boston builds right now. It's happening on a parcel by parcel basis. So if we're able to define our neighborhoods through a broader planning process, then I think that it would help alleviate some of the pressures that we're feeling, where we don't know what's coming next. We're always looking over our shoulder, trying to figure out when the next shoe is going to drop. So for me, you know, I want to continue the reforms that we did for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And now that, again, we have a mayor who's a little bit more friendly, I feel like now is the time to refile that and go a little bit further. So some of the things that we helped, or that I helped Lydia draft up, was ensuring that, you know, we had different perspectives on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that included an urban planner, an environmentalist. We wanted an affordable housing advocate on there, maybe try to get somebody from our elderly community there as well too. We're lacking senior housing in the city. But just again, if we don't take care of the illness, which is the Boston Planning and Development Agency, that's going to be all for naught. But I would like to go further with the ZBA reform, and maybe even refile that home rule petition, because there's one currently up at the State House right now. And again, in my opinion, it just doesn't go far enough. And there's a transparency component.
I got to keep us to a schedule. I'm going to let Dave ask his question.
I'm sorry. And I would love to talk to you offline about BPS, because I have an answer as an exam school kid. I have an answer for that. So I want to make sure we talk about it.
All right, we can come back to that. Let's just get Dave go ahead, Dave.
Yep.
Hi, thank you, Gabriella, for your efforts over the last several years for the district. Thank you for having the courage to run and to serve. I'll ask the same question I asked at the Charlestown Forum a few nights ago. What's your position on extending outdoor patio dining? What do you see as the advantages and the impacts?
Yeah, and thank you again for this question. It's really important. I know it's top of mind for a lot of folks, and I have spoken with many residents about this issue. And I understand that there has been challenges, and it's been a soft spot for people who live here and have to deal with the trash and the noise and all of that. And while we were living in a new world with COVID in 2020, and everybody was doing the best that they could, we were all just literally trying to survive. So I understand that outdoor dining, you know, was an experiment. It is an experiment. And then when the city decided to do it a second time, many felt like their voices hadn't been heard, or their feedback wasn't taken into consideration. And there are some issues. And for me, I understand that it's not a one size fits all approach for outdoor dining across the city of Boston. What works in Charlestown or East Boston doesn't necessarily work in the North End. So I understand that the North End requires special considerations that prioritize the quality of life for residents, because you have to live here. You have to deal with all of the implications. So at the end of the day, I think businesses need to prove that they're good neighbors and are willing to invest in this community. I'd like to see the city take an intentional and measured approach in partnership with community experts, again, you all, to develop a structured fund of some sort that allows for investment in beautifying the community, or paying for parking, or something like that. But using this committee as a resource and as a thought partner to understand what is going to be the best thing for this neighborhood. Because I do understand that it is the city's intention to move forward with outdoor dining again, but it's going to be up to us. It's going to be up to your city councilor to really fight for this neighborhood and understand that, you know, although the city wants to move forward with one thing, if it's not working for the North End, then we need to do something about it and we need to fix it. And for me, I have those relationships in City Hall, and I know how to navigate that building, and I know how to hold folks accountable when things aren't working. So I hope that you would feel confident in me, and if I did answer your question, awesome. If not, then feel free to hold me accountable for that.
All right, we're going to take it. One last question from Bernie. Bernie, your mic is open.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I have a basic, simple question. Has there been any movement whatsoever about potentially getting Columbus back, a new statue to replace the old one? And if not, where do you stand on that topic? If I were to tell you that's a hot button for some people.
I know it is a hot button issue. And thank you for the question. I have not been privy to conversations because I've been out of the council office for the last 6 months at the New England Aquarium, so I don't know where it stands. I am a part of the East Boston Community Development Board, and I've heard different things, and I don't know this to be true, and I don't want anybody from the city to get angry at me, but I've heard that they're moving the statue to a parcel or in front of a building in the north end. So that's the last that I've heard of it. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I don't want to get out ahead.
It's going to 42 North Margin Street in a hidden place. It's no longer, it's a private place. And that was Marty's solution for how he would appease the people who wanted to keep the statue versus the hooligans that destroyed the statue. And in order for him to get what he thought was peace, he came on a Zoom call and announced to all of us that good news, Columbus will be returning to the north end. Then we found out it's in a private courtyard of the new Knights of Columbus building at 42 North Margin Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same. That's not even remotely the same. And I challenged Mayor Walsh on this topic on that Zoom call. And of course, obviously never got anywhere. And then Marty Walsh was gone and here we are. So there are people in this community that would like an answer to the question. That wouldn't be that hard to figure out how to scrape up the funds to put up a bronze and put some cameras around it and be done with this. And let's get back to being an Italian North End.
I was going to say it's going to need to be in a place with cameras because it's going to always have folks that are going after it.
And made of a more durable material like bronze, for example, and so probably both. But okay, so you don't currently have an opinion and you're not up to date, up to speed on it, I guess is the answer.
Well, I am. I mean, I'm not up to speed about the current location of the statue. I think for me as a young Italian, my parents had a statue of Columbus in their homes. I don't have an affinity to Columbus like other folks do. I do understand that there is a need to celebrate Italian American history, and that's something that's very important to me. I do think we can do both.
It's a cultural issue, and it's symbolic.
Yeah.
And so and what I said to Mayor Walsh that night when he made that announcement was, I said, look, it's a matter of who controls what narrative, right? If the hooligans had not chopped his head off, the statue would be standing there. So then by normal civic due course, the people who would like to see the statue removed would then have to make a case to have the statue removed. Okay. But instead what happened was the hooligans did what they did. Nobody chased them down. He had no answers as to how the investigation's going into finding out who did it. Right. There's been no deterrence whatsoever as to how people can desecrate public statues. Right. And yet at the same time, we're now talking about being on the defensive about getting it back or getting a new statue. We're on the defensive rather than being on the offensive, right? It would have been different if the statue was up. Okay, thank you for your time. Sorry, Cheryl, for taking so much time.
No. And this is an important issue to a lot of people in the neighborhood, and you made some really valid points.
Yeah.
Having things, well, we all understand. Thank you very much. Gigi, thank you so much for coming tonight. We wish you all the best. I'm sure we'll see you in the North End. Yeah, of course. We just got a note. Okay, no, this is for the next person. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And Jen, if it's okay, I'll message you separately and we can make sure we continue the conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but
no worries. I want to respect the agenda. Thank you, everybody. Hope you're in support.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay, Tom O'Brien from HYM is up next. Hold on, I just have to read this quick message. John Hurley, let me open your mic. I see you. I gotta find you in this list. We have a lot of people here tonight. Hang on 1 second. All right, you're unmuted and I will share my screen so you can share, I think, a deck. Okay, so this, we're welcoming Tom O'Brien, from the CEO of HYM. He is here to speak with us tonight about the Government Center Garage. And I know there's a lot of people on this evening about the recent project changes, the removal of the garage, the noise and all of that. We appreciate you coming tonight, Tom. I'm just looking for you. Your mic is open. I think you're all set. Nope, maybe not. Hold on. All right, try now. Tom. There
How's
you
that?
go.
Yeah, I
That's it,
kept
it
getting a
works.
message. That's okay. I
That's
kept getting a
okay.
message that it said the host would not let me unmute. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no
Really
worries.
appreciate everybody inviting us here. I'm also joined by John Hurley from our team, who's with us as well. And we also, I don't know if John has.
He has some
There he is.
slides.
Okay,
He's
great.
going to share
Okay,
them right
good.
now.
Yeah, great. So we did bring some slides. I could take a few minutes to present these slides and also to answer questions from people. More than happy to do that. And obviously, if we don't have time, I know
No,
it
that's
looks like
fine.
you have.
Right. This is really important. We're glad that you're here. So
I was just
please-
going to say I'm happy to come back to, but you know,
Oh, well, thank you.
if we don't have enough time, no problem.
No, we're good.
So let me just launch in. So my name again is Tom O'Brien. We're the development team that has been on the redevelopment of the Government Center Garage since really almost since the beginning of it. We've been on it since 2010. So this has really taken up quite a bit of our time. It's a labor of love for us to be about the process of removing this ugly garage from the downtown and you know, replacing it with a much more pedestrian friendly and you know, more activated site. So John, if you go ahead to the next slide, please. So here's what the garage looked like. Some of you who are newer may not remember this just because we've been in the process of changing what the garage was, but it was a huge garage that sat on almost 5 acres of downtown space. The total spaces in the garage were about 2,300 spaces. We're in the process of delivering a new garage that will be less than half of that, about 1,000 spaces when all completed. It was originally built as part of the 1960s urban renewal plan in the government center. And it also had 2 floors of office that were added in the late 1980s. It also does host the on-site Haymarket MBTA busway, and it sits over the MBTA Orange and Green Line subway tunnel as well. Go ahead, John, next slide, please. So this is the project summary. This was approved as a project, as a plan development area designation in 2013. And I can give you a quick update in terms of where we are, although I think people know where we are just visually. The 100 to 110 Sudbury building where John's running the cursor, that's a residential building, 365 apartments and 55 condos. It's now pretty much fully occupied. Not all the condos are sold, but they're selling at a good pace. All of the apartments are fully occupied at this point. And it's done very, very well. We're really pleased with the architecture of it and really pleased with the success of it. One Congress, which is next door, is an office building. We are completing that office building even as we speak. The building will be completed in the spring of 2023. It will become the headquarters building for State Street Bank Corporation, and State Street will move in there in the spring of 2023. We have other tenants who have also leased space in that building and will be coming on board. We have other slides to show you the demolition of the garage, but once we've completed the demolition of the garage, then there's a third building on that west parcel, 200 Sudbury Street, which is a residential building that will be built on that corner to enclose the garage and to complete that west parcel. On the east parcel, there were 3 buildings that were approved in 2013. And we then, after 2013, negotiated an MOU with the memorandum of understanding, I should say, with the MBTA. Took us a couple of years to do that. We completed that in approximately 2017. It was a very detailed MOU and something that we, you know, really worked very hard to put together and we're prepared to build out. But certainly the MBTA has had a number of different leadership changes, and the leadership of the MBTA indicated to us recently that they do not want to see a building get built on top of that tunnel. And so we did change the alignment of that east parcel. And frankly, we think we produced a solution that's better and more connective, and we can show you that now. So, but first, John, go ahead and we just show the next slides, which I think have to do with, yeah, okay. So this is the garage as it was. Many of you will remember this is what the busway looked like there on the left. And then there was a pedestrian passageway that, you know, was there on the right. The garage acted kind of as a barrier for people. It was dark and foreboding and was a place that wasn't a very pedestrian friendly spot. And so if you switch to the next slide, John, you can see that we've begun the process of demolishing the garage. This is kind of the heart and soul of the project, is removing this garage. I know there are people here who have been engaging with us about the noise in the garage. I'm happy to talk about that in a moment, but this is generally the process that's underway. This is kind of a sacred obligation on our part to remove this garage, and we're undertaking it. You can see that we're doing it piece by piece. This is not a garage that can be, sort of demolished with a wrecking ball. It needs to be disassembled piece by piece. Safety is the watchword. It's the most important piece for us. The garage sits obviously in a corridor that's very busy. We have 2 train lines underneath us. We have automobiles underneath us. We have pedestrians, bikes, all kinds of things. And so we need to be very safe, and we need to operate in a very safe manner. So it's the only way to do it is on a piece by piece basis as we go forward. The photo on the left probably gives you the best representation of sort of where we are today as we take those pieces apart. Go ahead, John. Next slide, please. So this kind of gives you a sense of how the 2 buildings kind of shape up and where the garage, is coming down. This is a drone photo of what's happening. We're very pleased with the architecture of these 2 buildings, and feeling good on the slow and steady process of the garage. We wish it could go faster, but our hours of operation are restricted. Go ahead, John. Next slide, please. So this kind of shows you generally what the timeline has been on garage demolition. On the left, you can see we started this in approximately, I think, 2015 to take out that corner in which we built the apartment tower, and then also take out that old rounded ramp. We built the apartment tower. We completed that in the fall of 2020. We've undertaken the construction of the office building. We removed most of the upper office space that was on top of the garage, that red marked piece in the right-hand photo. Go ahead, John. Next slide, please. Now we're in the process of removing each of the bays. The garage is organized into 3 bays. And so you can see in that left-hand photo, it kind of shows an illustration of us removing one of those bays, which we're, nearing that portion of it. Then you remove a second bay in the middle photo, and then on the right-hand photo, then we'll complete that work over the MBTA tunnel. And once we've completed that work in the MBTA tunnel, which will be probably at the end of this coming summer of 2022, then we will close Congress Street in partnership with the city of Boston. And once Congress Street is closed, then we will complete the demolition of the garage, working all the way back in that right-hand photo to the garage being demolished all the way to the other side of Congress Street, so that Congress Street will be open to the sky for the first time since 1968. Really proud moment, I think, for all of us, and really exciting for removing the garage. Go ahead, John. Next slide, please. So this slide shows you that parcel. So that east parcel where the buses were, this is the alignment of the buildings that were originally approved. So EPB1 just stands for East Parcel Building 1. EPB2 is East Parcel Building 2. EPB3 is East Parcel Building 3. You'll note that EPB3 and EPB2 are both were approved and to be built over the tunnel. So there are orange line and green line tunnels that run underneath that spot. And so what we were basically had to do this year is take all of that square footage and move it into one side to the other side of the tunnel where John's running the cursor outline. And that allowed us to pull the building back from the north end, quite frankly, and to produce a much better connection to the Greenway and make a better connection to Canal Street. So John, if you go to the next slide, please. So this shows you what the site plan is for that building. You'll note that we've temporarily relocated the buses from our parcel over to in front of the Parcel 7 garage. So the buses are temporarily relocated to that site. We will then move the buses back. We'll build a beautiful brand new busway. We're working in conjunction with the MBTA and the city to complete that design. Our position is we will build the busway that the MBTA and the city of Boston ask us to build. And there's still more work to do from a design perspective between those 2 entities. But this is a good representation of where the groups are in terms of what the busway will look like. And then on the left, where John's running the cursor, is the footprint of the building. We've added significant amounts of retail to the building itself, together with a cultural and civic space that will be on the southern end of that building, which we intend to really enliven and bring alive with food and music and culture. And I think this whole corridor will be enlivened once we get back, past COVID, take advantage of the reopening of the public market, plus the new hotel that's being built along Haymarket, a little bit further south of us as well. You'll note too that we've created a much better connection between the Greenway and Canal Street with this. So, today the Greenway comes to an abrupt halt at the top of the North End Parks, but this affords us an opportunity to create a really nice connection between the Greenway and Canal Street and the good work that's been happening around North Station. It also allows us to make a much better connection across Congress Street And then to make a better connection from Sudbury Street to Canal Street, you can see a public opening between the cultural and civic space and the building itself as well, where John's running that cursor, which is really a result of some really good design work and interaction with BPDA staff, Boston Civic Design Commission staff, and that sort of, those sorts of groups. John, next slide, please. I think that's it. John, if you go back one, I just want to kind of point out one other quick thing, which is, so this building at this point did complete the Civic Design Commission process and was unanimously approved by the Civic Design Commission. We also did appear before the BPDA for a public hearing in January. That public hearing also concluded in a unanimous vote in favor of the project. We also went before the Zoning Commission this week, this past Wednesday, I think it was, or Tuesday, and completed a unanimous vote in front of the Zoning Commission. So we're really excited and looking forward to delivering this building as we move forward. So I think that's it. I'm happy to answer
let's
any
get some questions. I mean, I can already see stuff coming in the chat. While people put their hands up. Let's see. I'll just start reading. Oh, let's start. Diana, I'll read some after this. Diana, I'm opening your mic, and then Victor, I'll open yours. Go ahead, Diana.
Thanks so much. I was able to catch the BPDA meeting, Tom, on December 8th. So loved hearing this presentation again. I wish I had been able to attend that meeting. I live at the One Canal building. Every window in my unit overlooks the construction you've got going on now. It is a constant in my life. And I heard the other residents on the December 8th meeting bring the same concerns. The only thing you could do was apologize at that point and apologize for inconveniencing them. But I live directly across from it. I can look out my window here and see the entire thing. And so I wanted to ask a couple of questions about the status of the project right now. So on that meeting, you said that ramp, that piece that overlooks the, that overhangs on the, what is it? The stairs, you said that would be completed demolition at the end of January. So I'm just wondering what the status of that is.
Did your mic close? Hold on a second. His mic might have. Okay, Tom, I opened your mic again.
Sorry, Cheryl. Yeah,
That's okay.
when I mute, I just mute so I can better hear the question. And so apparently when I mute Cheryl, I'm getting.
You should probably keep your mic open because these questions are going to be all for you.
I may mute if you hear a little family noise behind me. But the so Diana, yes, I did, and I think you sent an email to us as well with some detailed questions.
You did. I didn't get a response.
We're working on it, Diana. Because I know you asked some very specific questions, but I'm happy to kind of run through that tonight, with you on this meeting. So the so the answer on that lower ramp. So that ramp, it was actually in one of the pictures of the slides we sent you. That ramp is pretty heavy concrete ramp that runs over the busway and kind of underneath the garage itself. It's probably most directly over what was the old busway. And the clearest answer I could give you is it still needs, the rest of it still needs to come down, that piece of it. But each night as we take this garage down, there are pieces that become evident as we go forward. Plus each piece of the demolition is affected by weather and whether or not we can work. And sometimes the MBTA will signal to us that we can work on a particular night and then say, well, gee, because of weather, we have to store trains in the tunnel. So there's some nights that we just simply have to be flexible. And so we've taken down about 2/3 of that ramp at this point, and there's another 2/3 to come down. For now, what it looks like is that ramp forms kind of a protective barrier, so it allows us to do some work during the day, which we'd like to try and do to give you a break at night. So so the answer is it's a little bit of that piece of the work is subject to some change right now as we're trying to work our way through what is the right work program for that and for the garage overall.
Okay, so then my next question, I think, refers to the permit that was granted to you to work at night. I know you say it's 1 to 4 but I watch the crews roll up at 11. The floodlights come on at 11:45. I hear the engine of the big yellow crane start up at 11:45. It's starting much earlier than that, and that's not that's not a good thing. I think 1 to 4 is an incredibly insane time period to work. But I think my question is, are you permitted to only work 1 to 4? And then is it just honor system that you are working on those pieces that overhang the MBTA? Or is it just that you can work in the middle of the night wherever you deem fit? Because it seems like you probably aren't paying a crew to only work 15 hours a week, on a part-time basis. So, is it just honor system that you're not working on other parts of the garage?
There's a huge amount of oversight over everything that we do. So there's no way there's an honor system. Everything we do is in direct conjunction with the permitting agencies, where there are all kinds of folks on site who are watching us. If I could just say, I'll just back up a little bit, Diane, if I could just make the following statement, which is, we don't want to do this work at night. First of all, at night, it's better during the day. It's certainly way less expensive for us. We don't want to do this work. Our preference, our desire is to do this work during the day. That's what we want to do. There are, other agencies, other authorities who are instructing us that for the pieces that are getting removed over the MBTA, those pieces must be removed between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. But you're right that we do have a crew that starts at 11, because we're paying that crew to work, 12 hours. So that crew, when they start at 11 o'clock. So the permits do allow us to work at 11 o'clock, and they begin at 11 o'clock to do work that is not over the MBTA. Okay. Our preference is to try and do this during the day, but that's when the crew is on, because the other pieces have to happen between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. We continue to try and work and push and do everything we can to see if we can find some accommodation with the government agencies involved here to allow us to do this work during the day or on the weekends. I mean, Diana, the other possibility for us is, could we do this work on the weekends so that at least during the week for you, a work week, you get a break? So we would love to try and do that. But, again, our obligation here is to take the garage down. If we were, any other developer would say, forget it, we won't take the garage down. It's a huge, expensive ordeal for us. If any other developer would just walk away from it and say, okay, you government authorities don't want to help us, then fine, we won't do it. But it is a sacred obligation to take this down. It's a civic process.
Right.
And that's our obligation.
So
And
we
I
have
just
a
have-
lot
I
of
have-
questions.
I'm
I
so
mean,
sorry. I just have to ask about the occupancy permit that stands. You can only get an occupancy permit for the One Congress building once this garage is demolished. I think that is a huge incentive to work throughout the night on other parts of the garage so that you get this project done faster, because time is money. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Diana.
Let's go through the questions and then we'll go to the chat. Hopefully some of them are answered. Okay, Victor, I'm going to open your mic. And
Okay,
Victor,
am I unmuted now?
You are unmuted.
I am unmuted. Okay.
We can
Hi,
hear you.
Victor.
I will put up
Hi,
your
Victor.
document. 1 second.
Hello, Tom. You know what I'm going to ask.
Sure.
But I have to give my neighbors an update on where I'm coming from.
I'm going
and
to put the document up on the screen right now.
Okay. And that is that at the BRA board meeting on January 13th, I had submitted a letter, and it was read, which is the new procedure of the BRA board, regarding biosafety lab and which biosafety lab is going to go in your new building. And I had said that biosafety lab 3 is next to the most dangerous, which is biosafety lab 4. And I had suggested in my letter that the board consider deferring its action until city and state public health agencies could weigh in and tell us whether a biosafety lab in the middle of where 3 neighborhoods join Beacon Hill, West End, and North End. And you challenged it. And rather than taking offense, I was delighted because you said that Biosafety Lab 3 will not be part of your program. However, the plan that's on file with the BRA, BPDA, on page 6, which is up on the screen now, shows an elaborate procedure for how to install a Biosafety Lab 3 in the project. Now, is this not the current plan? Has that page been replaced by a different page, or has it been eliminated? And if not, I would ask that what I've determined with an X and highlighted be deleted from your plan, and the additional words at the bottom, which are now says research laboratory use operating at biosafety level 4 shall be prohibited, to add research laboratory use operating at biosafety level 3 and level 4 shall be prohibited, to be consistent with what you said at the meeting. Do we have agreement on that? And if not, why not?
So, Victor, what I said at the meeting is exactly what's in this right here. So I would direct you to the sentence at the top of the page, which says no use that operates biosafety level 3 shall be allowed for any project component until the following steps are completed. So it's exactly what I said. So it's not an allowed use, okay? We have no intention, and we've said this, we were at, I don't know how many different public meetings in which we've said the same thing. We have no intention of implementing a biosafety level 3 building. We are only focused on biosafety level 1 and level 2. And so that's why this language, as it was originally included, was fine. So that, I think, is why the board approved the project.
Well, yes, they approved the project based upon your statement that you were interested only in 1 and 2. So what I'm
Right.
suggesting is let's get rid of 3. Is there any reason that you will not agree with me to eliminate what I have X'd out in yellow?
I
Why
don't
should it
understand,
be there?
Victor. Well, Victor, what it says is no use that operates by shall be allowed. It's not allowed, right? So we have no intention of following this. This is typical language that the BPDA has in almost every lab building approval. And so I don't want to go back and change this. I mean, obviously I've said this, it's not allowed. And we have no intention of pursuing this.
Tom, you're not reading the whole thing. It's not allowed unless.
I read it. I read the whole
Okay.
document, obviously.
Well, the word unless is there.
Well, it says until the
It's allowed
following
if you
steps are
follow
complete.
those steps.
Yeah.
So is the answer that you will not agree with me to eliminate that page? And if
I'm not-
if that's
not going
your
back.
answer, why?
I'm not going back to change this document. You raised it at the public hearing, Victor. You raised this issue. I answered it in exactly the same manner as I'm answering it tonight. The board took that into consideration and voted unanimously to approve the project. And this language reflects what was approved that night. I'm not going back to change that at this point, Victor.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I can't drag this out because Cheryl won't let me, but what you
I know.
answered was level 3 and level 4 are specifically prohibited. If anyone wants to check, you can go to the video at 3 hours and 52 minutes and see, Tom, what you said. You said level 3 and level 4 are specifically prohibited. And level 3 is not specifically prohibited.
It's not allowed, Victor, and we have no intention of pursuing it.
But the sentence in the first top paragraph, it says no use that operates biosafety level 3 shall be allowed for any project component until the following steps are completed.
Yeah, we have
And I'm not a
no
lawyer, but
intention.
it sounds like if you do those things, then you could do it. Is that incorrect?
Well, we have no intention of pursuing any of these steps. So
Well,
we have.
why not get it out then?
Victor, we completed the vote. The board took all this under consideration at the time, Victor. I'm not reopening that vote.
Yes, what they took under consideration was your statement that
No,
level
Victor,
level
Victor,
3 and level
you're not
4
giving
are
credit to
specifically
these people.
prohibited.
there's a whole write-up, Victor. There's a whole, these documents are vetted by the staff up there. There's a huge amount of work that goes into this, Victor. It's not, people know what's in these documents up there. You make it sound as if it's it just kind of went through without anybody reading it up there. That's not correct.
It went through based on your statement.
I disagree, Victor. Victor, the board thought carefully about everything that came up on that evening. They thought carefully about all the documents that were placed before them, including your letter, including the written write-up, everything else that was described. And on the basis of all that work, they voted unanimously. There wasn't a single vote. There wasn't even a question on your topic, Victor, not one.
Well, there's no point in pounding this forever.
Victor, you know, with all due respect, we had dozens of public meetings. You never showed up at a single public meeting. You never raised this issue. We spent dozens of meetings talking about this issue with a lot of your neighbors. I'm more than happy to meet with you. You know exactly how to find me, Victor. I'm more than happy to sit with you and walk you through exactly what we're trying to do here. You could easily call me and contact me and spend some time with me. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it.
Well, we're talking now and you're not willing to do what I'm asking you to do. That's the end of it. So the public knows that now.
Okay. I guess we'll go to the next question. Bob, I'm trying to open your mic. Bob Fromell. There you go.
Hi, thanks for calling on me. Thanks for being here. So I'm Barb Frommel. I'm with Air Communities. We are the owner of the One Canal Apartments. And I think you've already heard from one of our residents, and I think you're going to hear from several of them tonight. So I'm here on behalf of them. They are expressing concern that the construction noise is intolerable related to the jackhammering that's happening at night. They cannot sleep. We've had a resident even pull his mattress out into the hallway away from the windows because the noise was so great at night and he couldn't sleep. We've also been told that the noise level has been recorded at times at 99 decibels. And again, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but if that is accurate, it's the equivalent of a jet taking off across the street from where our residents are living and trying to sleep. These are very dangerous noise levels and could actually cause hearing loss. So it's my understanding that this is going to continue for months. And at these noise levels and for this long of a period, it's not just a quality of life issue, but also a health and safety issue that we're concerned about here. And so we're asking whether the development team is willing to mitigate the noise. We understand the construction has to keep going, but regardless of what time of day it's happening, I think there are some mitigation measures that you could implement, such as noise mitigation at the jackhammering site, whether it's sound clouds or mobile soundproofing curtains. This would absorb some of the noise. Building a perimeter wall, this would help with both noise and light pollution that our residents are also impacted by. We'd also ask that you offer to pay for soundproofing curtains for any resident who requests them to put them up in their own units. And then I think I've also heard that our residents would also appreciate more regular communications from the construction team so that they know what to expect kind of on a weekly basis with this project. So again, we understand that you're facing a lot of challenges with this construction project, but I think some of these mitigation measures would go a long way to protect the health and safety of our residents and also just toward you being a good neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. I wonder if I could just for a second, I'm going to answer your question, Barb, but I just, if we could go back to Victor's topic, you know, part of my frustration, if I can just report to everybody, Victor was putting up on the screen the wrong document. So I have my friend, John Hurley. Victor, with all due respect, let me just speak here, okay? Victor was putting up on the screen the wrong document. The document that was completed prohibits both level 3 and level 4, okay? So Barb, if I could shift to your, and you know, we're more than happy to make that available to all of you. All right, Barb, if I could answer your question, we definitely want to be good neighbors. Okay. We worked closely with the team that is leading the demolition here. And, you know, we've tried to think through whether some of those noise mitigation measures at the, you know, at the spot where the jackhammering is happening can be effective. We've also tried to experiment with it a little bit to see if that can work. The problem is because the work is happening at night, those noise mitigation measures really cannot work. We have with other people who have requested, we've tried to provide some kind of like white noise, you know, headphones and things like that, to the extent that that might be helpful with people. You know, and we're more than happy to explore that with you. I've not heard of noise mitigation curtains and those sorts of things. More than happy to kind of think about that with you guys. I don't know. And Barb, we'd be more than happy to, you know, to sit with you as the, you know, leader of that building to kind of think through all these issues and do the best we can. If I could repeat, we don't want to do this work at night. We want to do this work during the day. That's our preference. We've tried every different way we can to suggest ways that we could do the work during the day, but we're being forced to work at night.
Just so you know, Tom, I've never seen so many comments in the chat. People are pretty upset. They can't sleep. We've got teachers, healthcare workers, people with small children, you know, saying, what can we do? Like, how much longer can we put up with this? And we can't function. And somebody actually asked for an environmental impact report, if you can make that available. There's just so many questions. I'm having trouble going through them all.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously, there's an environmental impact report that was completed for the project. All those things are public documents.
Is that in the BPDA website?
I don't know if it's at the BPDA website. It might be at the MEPA website as well. John, maybe you can throw that in there.
Yeah, John, if you can put that in the chat, that would be really helpful. John Hurley, thank you.
I'm not sure that, by the way, I'm not sure that document will be helpful around noise around the demolition, by the way. I mean, that document is pretty heavy on water usage, air, transportation, things like that. So I'm just not sure that that's the document that people
understand.
Again,
I
please
don't know how do we
everybody.
help. I don't just understand how do we help everybody here? You know, how long is this? Much longer is this going to go on?
We have to do this work. It will take us until the end of the summer to complete the work that we're doing over the MBTA right now. And then we have to close Congress Street. And then once we close Congress Street, we, you know, then we have to complete the demolition over Congress Street, which will use a different technique for that. That won't be as noisy. That's not jackhammering. That's kind of like it's like a muncher machine that will, you know, that will work. So that's not
the building on the other side of Congress Street.
It'll be over Congress Street to all the way to the other side of Congress Street.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, we would prefer
Labor Day. You're talking probably till Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean, we would prefer. Again, we don't want to do this. I mean, it is a sacred obligation on our part to take the garage down. We want to take the garage down. That's our obligation. We were prepared to do this work during the day, but we've been instructed that we can only do this work at night. It's not. We don't want to do it. It's noisy. It disrupts your lives.
We understand
it's
that,
very
but
expensive.
In the chat, we're starting to see people, okay, in the summer, the windows are going to be open. Can you use a different tool? Can you use a different jackhammer? We've got people who are doctors and nurses and teachers. And I don't know the answer to this, but I know that we need to do something.
So our preference, I'm gonna make a suggestion where maybe we could all try and work together. Okay. Our preference would be to try and do this work during the weekend if we could. So, you know, if we could do this from Friday through Sunday and free up your weekdays, that would be good. Now, it might be that we would be doing work at night on the weekends, okay? But at least it would allow you to work and sleep and all that. We'd love to see if we can figure that out. So, you know, we'll continue to try and push that, and I'll come back. We get that this work is disrupting your lives, and we feel badly about that. We apologize for it. I'm more than happy to come back here and keep talking to you. We're not a group, you know, we pride ourselves on participating in engaging with the public on these things. And so I'll come back whenever you want me to come back and talk about these issues.
Okay, so maybe you can talk to, I know Michael Benetti is on here from Lydia Edwards' City Council office. Sierra D'Amico, our North End liaison, is on. You can connect with them. Glenn Legassi, your mic is open. And we've got
hey, Tom,
three more questions after that.
Okay.
You said in January,
hey, Glenn.
I guess the meeting in December, you said that once the ramp was done, that the overnight work was going to stop. That's what I understood from that meeting. Is that true or not true?
No, I didn't say that. I couldn't have said that. No, I mean, the issue is the ramp was the most noisy piece because it was constant jackhammering. Okay. What I was trying to hone in on is once we get that ramp done, then the next piece is where the concrete tees. So if you step back and look at the garage itself, there's kind of individual tees. They look like Lincoln
I'm
logs.
not so interested in that right now. But my understanding from the last meeting was that the overnight work was going to stop after the ramp was done, but that's evidently not the case. So
the whole garage over the T has to be taken down. And the only way that the T will allow us to do that work is at night between the hours of 1 and 4.
Well, that's not entirely true because the station did close on a weekend and you did work over the weekend.
That's correct. But the station can't close during the weekdays, obviously. So,
well, no, it
that's what I'm
actually
saying.
can. No, it can. They routinely do this.
Well, we'd love to, as I just said, Glenn, we would love to work on the weekend. We'd love to do more of that. We would love to do more of that.
But
That would be
we don't
better.
have any visibility into these conversations. We don't know when's the last time you talked to the MBTA about the noise and rechanging the schedule and having the station closed?
Every day. Every
day? Can we go
Every
to these meetings? Do you have meeting agendas you can share, meeting notes?
I mean, these are between the staff and you know, I mean, I don't know how productive that would be, Glenn. I mean,
it would be
trying.
informative to us. We actually see that people are trying to change what's going on because this, you just go home to wherever you live and you don't have to listen to this and you don't have to live through this.
I'm there every day, Glenn. I'm there every day.
I'm happy to call you at 3 a.m. and let you listen because
Glenn,
it was absurdly loud at 3 a.m. Like you're not grasping how horrible it is. No, you're not. You're not here when it's happening, Tom.
Glenn, I totally understand it. Okay. We feel terrible.
We don't want to hear how it's your like God-given, prophecy to remove the garage. We all get it has to come down. No one's arguing that. What we're arguing is the scheduling of it. Like there is a solution. It's just that the MBTA is not working with you. They probably don't want to work with you. So but we're saying that we need other parties involved in that meeting to convince the MBTA that this is a serious issue that's impacting many, many people. And I think we could work with them and come up with a solution that's viable because this is not viable. This is not viable.
Somebody just put in the chat, why can't the T use bus service?
Yeah, and you offered to pay for the bus service in the December meeting. And then I don't know what happened with that.
Well, on those weekend diversions, right, Glenn, which you noted, we pay for the bus service. Sorry.
Oh, I think there's been one weekend diversion, I
think there's more. I think there's more than one, but
because
we'd love to do more.
It'd be great if you did 12 hours a day of demolition over the so-called sensitive areas, as designated by the MBTA, rather than these alleged 4-hour chunks. These are not 4-hour chunks. That's all lies. I don't know who's informing you. You're not on site at midnight. I can guarantee that. So they're starting earlier and it's just endless. It's just not livable. And to think that, like, I thought we were going to have relief at the end of January and we don't. And now, I know there's all those pylons and stuff, but I wasn't completely clear that was going to be overnight work through the summer. I had heard, in the last meeting that the pylons were going to be removed by the end of the summer, but it wasn't clear that it was going to be overnight work. Like we have to live here. We have to work. Like it's difficult to function without sleep.
I know.
And the noise canceling doesn't work. I've tried like 7 different kinds. That doesn't work. And I'm not even facing the construction. So I can't imagine what canal people are dealing with. I tried to connect with them, but I'm glad to see they're here because this is just a terrible situation. And I don't feel like you just keep on harping on, it's garage has got to come down. We all know that. Nobody cares. Stop saying it. No one cares. We all know it has to come down. No one's arguing that. So what we want to change is the scheduling of it because the scheduling is horrible. And anyone who signed off for these permits did not even think about the impact it was going to have on the people who are living here. And there's no recourse. Like I know who wrote the permits at
I'm going to jump in here because I just got a note from Patrick Lyons in Representative Aaron Michaewicz's office, and they are happy to host a public meeting with the MBTA.
I know, but these meetings, the problem is we have these meetings and they just a month passed and nothing's happened.
So
There's been
Patrick,
no progress.
when can we do this?
The contact from Tom's office, I forget his name. I've called him twice, doesn't call me back. I've had someone give me my email address to get updates. I haven't gotten anything. So the communication is abysmal. So
We send a communication out on a weekly basis, Glenn. About what
how do you
we're
sign
doing.
up for it? We all want to sign up for it. How do you sign up?
We have your email somewhere, so you should be
Well,
receiving it.
it's
So,
somewhere. I mean, it took you a week to respond to my email. Where do we sign up for this communication? We'd all love to be on it.
well, Glenn, well, I'll make sure that you get added to it. We've been
John,
sending
can you
something
put
out
it in
to,
the chat? Can you put it, John Hurley, can you put something in the chat so how people could sign up to be notified?
And we also want to know who we pester at the MBTA, because pestering you isn't working. You're just stonewalling us with non-answers, and you won't tell us who to communicate with the MBTA. I mean, sure, I can try to dig up the email for the president or vice president or whatever. I don't know who they are. They're on the website. I've emailed them. You get no response. Like, we need phone numbers. We need people to contact, because whatever you're doing to try to change the schedule, which I don't think is much, is not effective. It's not working. So I don't think it's a big concern of yours. It's not a priority. And we're all suffering because of it.
All right, Glenn,
I'm done.
I opened Jack's mic. Jack,
That's fine.
you're free.
Yeah, let's circle back to the environmental impact assessment. I'm sure there's gonna be like hundreds of pages, probably 99% of that is water and sewage. You can mean to tell me there's no noise pollution reports at all in this project? And can you make those public if they are?
they're all public. Yeah, I'm more than happy to make those available to you. All those documents are public. I have to go back and look at it. I mean, it was completed, some time ago. So I have to go back and look at it. So I'm not sure what was in there for noise related work.
Yeah, so feel free to paste a link whenever you can.
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer, I'm opening your mic.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, Diana, and for having us at this meeting. And Mr. Hurley, thank you so much for being here. And I know you're trying your best, and I completely understand that. And just like, I forget who it just was who spoke a couple of people ago, no one is, that we all understand that this has to come down. We are so excited that our neighborhood is changing and growing. I was a resident of Beacon Hill on Beacon Street for 14 years. I'm raising two beautiful children. I'm a mom. I work and teach at Boston Latin Academy, and my students every morning, because I have to get up at 5, we start at 7:10. I have 211 students, high school students. I can barely function. I wish I had the luxury of wearing earplugs, but I have a little pumpkin at home as well, and I need to know if something's wrong in the middle of the night with her. They have been woken up, my children, endless amount of times. My son attends BC High. I need the T to work. Brian, I need that tea. My son rides it to school to BC High every single morning and home after basketball practice every single night. So I totally understand this. The point is, we have to come to some agreement because we're all humans and need to function, especially my wonderful neighbors who are doing Zoom calls during the day, where your house is not only becoming your home and a place of refuge, but now it's also a workplace. So for them, I even feel more badly because I'm at least getting a reprieve in Dorchester at Boston Latin Academy on Townsend Street. But I'm not functioning at 120%. I'm a single mom. I'm raising my children. I try to be fit and healthy. Our management here, and Barbara, I want to thank you, and Brian and Windsor and Ashley have all been amazing, but this has just gone above and beyond. My mom, who is always visiting from New York City, loved when we lived in Beacon Hill, was so excited for us to move here because it's really becoming such a wonderful neighborhood. We're part of the North End. We're right on that cusp. But we're really forming our own wonderful area in the West End here. And this would happen in no other area in the city. Beacon Hill, this would never happen. They shut down the T. I was there 14 years on Beacon Street. Seaport, I have several friends who live there. I'm in my 40s. This would never happen over their dead bodies, excuse the graphic expression. Something has to be done. Justice, I don't mean to be so passionate, but my job is sacred. My family is sacred. And I pay a lot of money, which is my pleasure to live here, and trying my best and have family who support me to enable me to live here. I'm with our wonderful management and ownership here to make that work. And I work very hard to do that. But I can't even tutor for who I'm tutoring at night on Zoom in my bedroom anymore because my rooms do face the front, like my neighbor, Diana. And it's just, unbearable. I don't understand why there can't be some agreement so that it's not in the middle of the night, so that you're working during normal business hours, because our lives are sacred, not just the job, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, as I said, we would rather do this work during the day. We have no interest in doing this work at night.
So how do we make this happen so that you do it during the day and you do it on the weekends? And maybe
I think honestly, I think it would be great if we could direct this, toward folks who would help us resolve this. I mean, again, I think.
Who would that be? Let's kind of cut to the chase here. Who do we have to call? Who do these people have to call?
Honestly, I can't do that on, a call like this. That would be really just bad for me, and honestly would be not productive for what we're all trying to do. So I can't do that. I think the key thing that we're trying to focus on is, can we get more of these weekend diversions and do more of this work over the weekends, which would allow us to give you back these weekday nights. That would be way better for us. And we prefer to do it. It would cost us more money, but if we could do that, it would, we feel bad. I mean, as Jennifer just said, we feel terrible. She's got kids and she's working and all those things. So we want to do this during the day if we can figure that out.
Okay, let's, Jamie, I'm going to open your mic, and I know that John Hurley wants to speak, and Tony, and I've got you. I'll open your mics in a second. Jamie. Go ahead, Jamie. I just clicked on your mic. Jamie Bernard. Well, okay, well, let's go to, while we try to figure that out. Hold on, John Hurley, I'm opening your mic.
Thanks, Cheryl. I was just looking to speak earlier. I work with Tom, and I was looking to clarify the biosafety lab statement from earlier, but I think we've moved past that and clarified it. So I don't have any additional comment, but
Okay.
so I'm good. On to the next.
Okay, Tony, I'm going to open your mic.
Hello. Hi. Thank you very much for your time and for everyone being here. My name's Tony. I live at One Canal also. And at One Canal, we have an amazing community. It's really like a neighborhood within itself. And with that, everybody talks. We all talk amongst each other. And this is a huge issue for everyone in One Canal, and I'm sure many other neighborhoods. The management has been amazing with trying to help us resolve this. I speak with them on a regular basis, especially Windsor. He's been amazing with, and the rest of the team with trying to help to come to a resolution here. Tom, I know you're in a tough spot, and we are all extremely frustrated. I know Jennifer very well. She's absolutely amazing person, an amazing teacher, and she's absolutely right. We can't sleep. It's been basically sleep deprivation here. My unit is right on the corner. I overlook the garage. I see everything that's going on a nightly basis. So it's extremely frustrating, but there are a couple of questions that I have for you, or maybe some resolution, because that's all it's, Tom, and I know you're in a tough spot, but all you seem, instead of maybe thinking of solutions or maybe voicing solutions to, it's just, hey, we got to get it done, tough. And I don't think that's really the right approach from a community relations standpoint. So some of the things that I've thought of is, one of them is, I get it, your hands are tied with the T, you got to work between 1 and 5. So that shift ends at 1 and 5, but then the next shift comes on at 6 o'clock, and then they start jackhammering the T slabs that come down at the night. Why can't and then that shift is gone at 2. So they have a long day where they could still be working. So why can't that shift start at 8 or 9 to at least give us some sleep in the morning, and just have that shift work a couple hours extra to get their full shift in? Is that possible?
Let me check on that, Tony. I don't have an answer for you on that one, but I'll check.
Okay, that's the basic thing. Once sort of things end and die down, 6 o'clock, it just starts hammering with the T slabs. And I get it. I can see the whole timing, how it gets to get done. Then the dump truck comes, or whatever you want to call it, and takes them out. So I get it. But we can just push that back, give us a couple hours in the morning to get our sanity.
It's dangerous work. I mean, if you're watching it, Tony, it's dangerous work.
Oh, absolutely, it's dangerous. It absolutely is. But if we can just push that back a couple hours to give us some sanity in the morning, that would be appreciative. And then another thing, and someone actually put this in the chat too, is I noticed, I think on Monday or something like that, instead of using that jackhammer to break up the T-slabs, they were being crushed.
The big one, the one on the
ones on the roof that come down by the big
Yeah.
crane, they were
Yeah.
being it looked like they were being crushed instead of jackhammered in the morning.
Yeah.
That actually sort of helped in the morning, at least. Is that something that can be continued on a regular basis to really reduce the noise in the morning?
It depends on the task that happens the night before, but yes, I mean, basically what needs to happen is, I mean, if we could get in a rhythm, which has been hard for us because weather has been affecting whenever there's bad weather, the T needs to store those trains in the tunnel, right? They need to get them out of whatever opening. So it can't be in the orange line open, or they can't be in the green line open. So they got to store in the tunnel, which means we can't do work. But when we get in a rhythm, then the idea is to bring them to grade and crush them. And you're right, and to try and give that a break. But we've not really been able to get into a clear rhythm.
So what's the difference where the trains are if you're crushing them? I would think that crushing them
Can't
is.
operate. It's better. But I don't, the answer, Tony, I don't have a specific explanation like for the night that you might have seen it happen.
It wasn't
depends
the
on
night,
that
it was the
particular
morning.
night.
It was a 6 a.m. morning crew. They bring down the slabs at night, which
Yes.
I get it. And then in the morning,
They crush it.
at 6 o'clock, they start jackhammering them. And then if you're able to fall asleep between 5 and 6, fantastic. And then 6 o'clock, you wake back up. But if they can crush those slabs in the morning.
You know what,
Yeah.
Tony, I have to interrupt you. Who is the noisemaker person, team noisemaker? I don't like the comments that I'm seeing in the chat. And if you don't stop it, I'm gonna throw you out of the meeting. As I said at the beginning of this meeting, we don't denigrate people here. We are respectful to each other. We all have different opinions, but we don't do that. So I'm gonna ask you please to stop. And I'd like to let Aaron speak now too.
I just have one more question if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things is, and I'm not an expert in this field at all, but have you looked into using water jet pressure tools to cut those slabs at night instead of using the jackhammer? Is that something that's possible? We
looked at all that. Yeah, it's really heavy concrete, and it was all poured in place concrete. And you can see that there's steel reinforcement in it. Like it was built to last for a long, long time, unfortunately. So
that's
won't
not an
work.
option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
All
I'm
right.
sorry, Tony.
All right, no problem.
But Tony, you gave us a couple of good suggestions here. Thank you very much. And we'll try and track them down and come back.
Okay, great. And if you
could you
so
send us
you're there-
could you you can do it off the chat room or not, whatever. Just make sure that we can be in contact with you. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're there at the site, I'll stop by. Does that work?
Oh, great. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Great, Tom. Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so Representative Aaron Markowitz is with us. I opened your mic, Aaron, and he's going to speak with us. And I'm not kidding. I don't want to see anything else nasty in the chat, or I'll shut the chat off and I'll throw people out.
Thank you, Cheryl. I promise you, I'm not noisemakers. That's not me. I'm sorry. I'm a little late. I was at we just got out of session a little bit while ago, and I just walked home, so I just got home.
We appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to come on because I had Patrick from my office on here, and obviously I've gotten a number of emails from folks, and I've been, some of you know that I've been trying to work with both the MBTA and the developer on this really since the beginning of January. I think was when some of the construction started, or when some of the jackhammering started, and I was getting emails, maybe even into December, excuse me. And, I'm just going to be perfectly candid and say I've been frustrated with the lack of changes. We did have what seemed to be a moratorium of this type of construction that was going on for a little while. And, and I'm frankly, and Tom is going to be kind, and I'm not going to be as kind, in the sense I'm going to say basically that I feel that the MBTA is not being as productive or cohesive of trying to come to a solution as I wish they were. I've been very frustrated by this. Like I said, I've gotten many of your emails. I'm going to continue to try to work towards this, try to work towards a solution. I wish that they would just keep it on the weekends. This way they could just do it during the day, or to some degree of minimizing the discussion. If that is not the case, because of the work that needs to be done, I would prefer diversions for the MBTA to take place. So this way you would have a situation where you could keep the station closed for a period of time. That's the best I can offer you right now in terms of that. I've heard many of you, as I said, and I will continue to try to do my best to get this thing resolved. You know, I appreciate the late night noise and how frustrating that must be for, especially for those that live directly or directly about the construction. And so I just want to, you know, weigh in and say that we are doing the best we can to make sure that the T, you know, upholds its bargain of being good neighbors and good conduits, you know, stuff. But we're working towards this, and I appreciate everyone's frustration. But I'm going to continue to try to do the best I can on this, and I appreciate everyone reaching out, you know, during this. And I'm happy to listen to any options. Some folks have emailed me some different options recently, which I appreciate, and I've, you know, kind of passed those along to some of my conduits at the MBTA. But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm frustrated just as everyone else is, and I'm not dealing with the noise, but I'm dealing with the what I feel is not the cooperative environment. And I'm happy to. I think Cheryl Patrick told me that there was a talk about trying to do some type of public meeting on this.
Yeah, he
with
said
the
that you
MBTA.
would do. Yeah, he said you do.
I would. Yeah. I would be happy to try to facilitate that. You know, I don't want to make any guarantees because it's not, you know, I can't speak for the MBTA. I can only speak for my office, but I can do my best to try to facilitate that, to try to help get to a resolution.
Let us know, and NEWRA is happy to host and get the whole North End and, you know, get everybody to join, and you let us know how we can help.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any more questions? I don't see any hands up. I don't see anything in the chat. All right.
Looks like Tom has a question.
Oh,
Raising his
okay.
hand, I think.
Tom
O'Brien.
Tom O'Brien. Oh, Tom, did your mic close again? Sorry. Hold on. All right, it should open.
Thanks, Cheryl. I
Yes.
didn't want you to sign me off without just saying thank you to everybody for your time tonight. And we did get some comments from people that we're going to try and follow up on, some ideas that we'll try and follow. And I really appreciate the chairman's appearance here tonight. I know you got a really busy schedule, Chairman, and thanks very much. We'll continue to work with you to do everything we can to make this thing work better for people. We want to be a good neighbor here.
Well, we appreciate you coming. It's tough to come and have everybody ask you
That's
some
all right.
really hard questions. We appreciate
right.
you coming, and I'm sure
We'll come
be
back.
seeing you
I-
again. And as the chairman
Happy to.
said, if he and Patrick can get an MBTA meeting, we'd like you to come and we'll be happy to host.
Great. We'll come back for that too. Happy to do it.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully, you know, just the concept of that meeting might help us get together and come before you with a solution that might be a little bit better. So that would be great. I appreciate the
good.
chairman.
Yeah, let us
making
know.
that happen. That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you, everybody.
Thank you. Tanya Del Rio is here. I think she's still here. She's been waiting. Thank you for your patience. Tanya, I'm going to open your mic. Tanya is running for our city council seat. We're going to completely switch directions right now and hear from her. I think you learned a lot about the North End waterfront in this call.
Yeah, and Cheryl, I'm very happy just like trying to read the room here to reschedule myself for next month. I did just want to ask how people were, because it's such a, you know, like I hear you. People are so upset with this situation, and it just feels kind of weird to go back into like
That's
my
fine.
introduction. So
We'd be happy to
are
have
people
you.
okay with that?
We'd be happy to have you come on March 10th. That's perfectly fine, because we do have a couple of other items on the agenda. So if you would like to, that would be fine. I don't see anybody saying anything. That would be fine.
Yeah, I'm very happy to, but I'll take like 2 seconds just to say hello to everyone. That I'm happy that I had an opportunity to listen in on this, because it's clearly a huge issue, and I hope that it gets resolved and as soon as possible for people's quality of life. Just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Tanya. I'm running for City Council in the special election that's happening in our district on May 3rd, general, and if there's a preliminary on April 5th. So I'll definitely come back in March when, you know, when we're in a different kind of space, and hopefully having resolved the issue that we were just talking about. And appreciate you, Cheryl, and everybody for your involvement in the community. And I can't wait to introduce myself properly next time. What I'll do is I'll just leave my contact information and my website in the chat so you can learn more. And I really, really look forward to talking to you next time. I'm just trying to read the room here, and it just didn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine. We appreciate it. It's 8:30 and we still have 3 more items to
Yes.
get to. Thank you, Tanya. We'll see you March 10th.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so next up, Marcy Costa, I am gonna look for you on this list. Well, we've lost a lot of people now. Okay. Marcy, I'm gonna open your mic. Marcy is with Good Time. She's the attorney representing Good Times Hospitality, 226 Atlantic Ave. It's the old Four Winds on the waterfront. It's a transfer for an alcohol license. Do you need to show any slides, Marcy?
I do. I have a short presentation. I understand that. And also with me is my client, Jairo Dominguez. He is one of the owner and operators of the new establishment as well.
Great. And I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Jairo, Jairo.
Yeah, I'm just looking for him right now. Hold on. So this is not my first Zoom meeting today. My eyes are really tired. Okay, you're both open and you can share my screen.
Awesome. I apologize in advance. My cat will jump into this because he always has to do it.
It's okay.
All right, share. Okay, now I can never remember. It's so hard when the Alrighty. So thank you all for having us here this evening. This is the new restaurant going in at 266 Commercial Ave. It is replacing, as Cheryl said, the old Four Winds. The vibe of the new restaurant, which will be called the Flamingo, is nostalgia, back to the 70s, 80s, that Miami feel. Just a really cool, modern American food, neighborhood bar, place that the members of the community can go after work, on the weekends, meet up with their friends, and really just be able to enjoy the neighborhood and where they live. Jairo and his partner Tyrone, who is actually at their other restaurant working right now, so he wasn't able to join us, but they are very seasoned in the food and beverage industry. They have another restaurant located in the theater district called Rock and Rye, as well as other locations in the greater Boston area, as well as in Rhode Island as well. They understand what it takes to be a member of the community. They pride themselves on being members of the community, and they're really excited to take this next step into the North End because they understand how important community is when you are a business in the North End waterfront neighborhood. And they want to make sure that everybody is welcome and excited and looking forward to this new establishment. Like I said, this is just a little vision board, what you can expect to see when you walk in, just that feeling that you've gone back in time and you're going to have a really great time while you're there. This is a mock-up of the menu. Like I said, it's kind of a modern take on American classics. We have pulled pork, grilled cheese, burgers, chicken wings, kind of all of that comfort food that you're looking for at your neighborhood restaurant bar. The floor plan, the Four Winds was and will be remaining 2 floors. The floor plan itself isn't really changing. They're just mainly doing cosmetic changes, wallpaper, upholstery, painting, all of that. Everything else is staying the same. The capacity is 75 people on the first level, 85 people on the second level, with 12 bar seats on both floors. The second floor, which is the next slide, I'll just kind of intro it here, was previously, when it was the Four Winds, used exclusively for function space. As the Flamingo, it will be used as function space, but it will also be used as an extension of the restaurant. So there will be seating on that second floor as well. It'll be the secondary dining room. The first floor will be that primary dining room, the space where the majority of the service will be taking place. And then the second floor will be that additional dining area with the additional bar for nights when it's busy and they are fortunate enough to have that extra space. But it will also be in the future a space for functions. I know that Four Winds used to hold some, community events up on the second floor, and Hiro and Tyrone are looking forward to continuing the opportunity to work with the community and host those there as well. Some other information about the location, trash storage and disposal. The trash is going to be brought out every evening. There's trash totes located in the back alley, which is where it'll be stored. And it's going to be picked up daily by a private company. We understand it's a city, and so rodent control, pest control is so important. Trash storage is so important. And they want to make sure that, everything is kept clean. The back alley is kept clean, and that the trash is brought out and stored and disposed of in a manner that doesn't contribute to any type of pest control issue in the neighborhood. Additionally, for entertainment, at this time, they're just going to be seeking a non-live entertainment license, background music, as well as TVs. There will be no outdoor speakers. The location is currently not zoned for live entertainment. It is something in the future they may like to pursue, but again, we would come back to the group at that time as we're going through the zoning process to allow it to be a allowed use. Some additional information. It is a 2 a.m. license. My clients do understand that it is a residential area. There is that condo building right next door. They are very much focused on making sure that they're not contributing any noise to the neighborhood and to the residents that live there. At their other location in the theater district, they have a 1 a.m. closing hour, and they do have everybody out of the establishment by 1 a.m. That is something that they'll be continuing into this new location with that 2 a.m. license, having everybody out and cleared from the sidewalk area. They don't use any type of promoters to promote the establishment. That's really not the vibe that they want for any of their restaurants. It is meant to be a community space, a community restaurant bar. The kitchen will be staying open late so that if you come in at 12:30, 1 a.m. and you want something great to eat, that's still an option for you because the kitchen is not closing at 11 p.m. So it can turn into something other than a neighborhood restaurant bar. And I know that it's 8:30, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Does anybody have any questions? Bernie, I'm going to open your mic. There you go.
Hi, I am the condo building next door. I'm the gray building that shares the alley with you. I want to make sure I just heard you correctly. It's a 2 a.m. license, but your plan is to get everybody out at 1 a.m. Did you just say that? I'm just heard that.
No, it's a 2 a.m. license and the plan is to have everybody out by that 2 o'clock close. So it wouldn't be a 2:30 out like some locations that do have that 2 o'clock license.
Right. Okay. So obviously, between the decline of the Four Winds and then COVID, it's been a nice 4 years here. It's been quiet, so we're certainly not looking forward to having noise here at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if I could stop you, I would. I'm not sure I know how to do that. But we have a secondary problem. The secondary problem is that folks smoke outside your restaurant. It turns out that the entrance door to the restaurant is directly next to our building. So instead of coming out of your restaurant and going to the left where the parking lot is, they smoke right underneath our balconies. And we have 4 balconies directly above that on the sidewalk. We also have our 8 gas meters right there on that corner. And we can't do anything about the gas meters because obviously they belong to the gas company. We can't move them. So smoking there is not only filthy between all the butts that end up on the ground now. Mr. Joya used to be good about trying to sweep as much as he could, but they lean up against our building and there's all footprints all against our building. We have the smoking going up through the 4 balconies. We have the danger of the gas up there. I would request that establishing from day one with whomever is managing or doing the bouncing or what have you, that you direct your customers who do want to smoke outside toward the empty parking lot rather than underneath our balconies.
And if I could jump in,
Yes.
Bernie, we would 100% do that. We would make
Okay.
sure to maybe have an area where it's kind of designated for that towards the left, coming out of the building to the left towards the parking lot. I totally agree with you, and I could see how that could be a problem for you guys.
Great, thank you. And it sounds to me like your volume is going to be a lot, but his business, obviously, as you know, had been in decline for a few years. So so the more volume you have, the more garbage there'll be. Now, we never really had a problem with garbage with the Four Winds. I can't say that we did, but I don't think his volume was very large, right? So with more volume comes more garbage. So I'm hoping that I can rely on your bar manager, your store manager, your the manager of this location to keep up with the garbage there. And welcome to the neighborhood. When's the noise start? When are you starting to do the interior work?
We're hoping to get started as soon as possible, depending on the contractor's timing, but in the next week or two. It'll be quick, like Marcy said. The floor plan does not change. We're not changing any of the layout. It's more cosmetics and lighting fixtures and whatnot.
And I'm sorry, I'm not up to date on this, but you are the new. Did you physically buy the building, or did you just buy the business, or are you a lease?
No, we're leasing. We didn't buy the building. Correct.
Okay, so you basically bought the business, so to speak,
Correct.
and you're leasing the building.
Correct.
Okay. How many years is your lease, if I ask?
As it stands right now, it's a quick lease, 2 to 4 years. We have options.
That's a short lease for that kind of business. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you, Bernie.
Dave, I opened your mic, Dave Kubiak, and then Jen Crampton.
Yeah, hi. I attended the ZLC meeting a few weeks ago and heard about all of this and was able to comment on it at that time. You mentioned over and over that little is going to change or nothing's going to change, but actually a lot is going to change. Tonight, we heard that there will be seating for 160. I assume that includes the 12 bar seats downstairs, the 12 bar seats upstairs. At the ZLC meeting, we heard there'd be a total seating of 104.
Right. Well, maybe there was a confusion there. 104 are the seats. The 160 is the capacity it currently has.
So how are you going to operate?
Well,
with 160 or 104?
Well, 104 is what's the legal capacity per the license that existed there is 160, but the actual seated seats where you could sit, it's 104.
That's what you're proposing, 104 only.
Well, yeah, that's what's currently, that's what Four Winds.
Okay, so so in terms of not changing anything, you are changing the total number of seats considerably from 104 to 160.
Oh, there will still only be 104 the seating, but the total capacity, including standing room, once the standing room space and the full capacity of the building is 160.
And I wonder and is that in the license itself, the alcohol license? Or is that a fire department restriction?
It's both. It's on the license and the inspectional certificate, as well as the place of assembly.
And that 160 may have been because the second floor was used as a function room and not as a dining and bar floor. And so I wonder whether the licensed capacity in the alcohol license should actually be brought down to how you want to operate the business, so that in the future, we don't end up with seating for 160. So please consider that. And the neighbors there who aren't sure of how to affect this project, there's one way you may be able to affect this project. Bring the alcohol license seating capacity down from the 160 in the current license to the 104 that this business owner would like to operate. That's one change. Clearly, the business is going to be, the operation is going to be approximately twice what it was under the previous business owner, because typically only the first floor was used. And typically the kitchen closed very early. So really it was just bar seating and standing around the bar at that point. Now you're going to have 104 seats, half downstairs, half upstairs on the second floor all the time. Your kitchen will be open till, I don't know when, but well beyond 11 o'clock, according to you. So I expect that the activity in this establishment will be roughly twice the activity that it has been for a very long time. And of course, activity means not trash deliveries and all that, but it also means noise. So I'm hoping that you will consider, and I hope the neighbors will push you on this. Please consider closing hours, an earlier closing hour during the week when people have to get to sleep and have to work the next day. That's one option that you have to mitigate the impacts of this twice as big operation. Definitely keep windows closed as of 11 o'clock. I know the downstairs windows can be open, and they have been even under the previous ownership. The upstairs window, I think, cannot be opened. If that's the case, I hope you won't make it a window that can be opened. But in any event, windows should be closed every night by 11 p.m. And then the third is, you mentioned that the customers will leave upon the closing hour of 2 a.m. Well, the way that the licenses are written, you can serve alcohol up to 2 a.m. and the customers can stay until half an hour later. So by saying that you're going to clear the establishment no later than 2 a.m., that means you probably need to stop serving by 1:30. And I hope that's the case.
Correct.
And then in addition to keeping the sidewalk clear of smokers, especially up against the residential building next door, I hope that you will make sure that that front sidewalk and in the environs around your business are going to be quiet as possibly can be all night long, and that the sidewalk in the immediate area is cleared completely at 2 a.m. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Hi. So we live right down the way at 63 Atlantic, and as a long time ago, before I had children, patron of the Four Winds, I'm laughing at myself a little bit for what I'm about to say, but I have a couple points to make. First, when the Four Winds was open, Bernie, I share your joy in not being woken up by a screaming drunk college kid after the Four Winds closed. Because what happens with a place that's open late in the North End, because most places aren't open late. I don't know what time the sale loft closes, but maybe it's 1. Everybody goes, and it's not like no neighborhood people don't stay up that late. We're all in bed much earlier than that. It's college kids, it's people that are pretty slammed and want to get some, greasy food or whatever. You go to the place that's open latest last. So we would close the sale loft and then we would drag ourselves over to the Four Winds. I hope that this works out as more of a restaurant than a bar, because what people do when they leave the place like the Four Winds is they walk through the neighborhood screaming in joy and having fun and, having a ball. They've left your establishment, but they have not left our neighborhood. And most of us are sleeping and have been sleeping since, 10 or 11 o'clock. And as you can see from my little parrot on my shoulder, I have little kids who used to, also get woken up by people leaving the Four Winds. So I'm truly hopeful that it will be more of a restaurant type of a thing, and that you might consider, once you see what you end up with late at night, that you might close a little bit earlier just to kind of clear things out, because it really is a residential neighborhood, especially over on the side of the neighborhood. There aren't other bars around here except for the sale loft that closes early. There aren't really a lot of restaurants around here. Like, everything closes early, and having one outlier that is open till 2 a.m. is going to draw all the drunk college kids, and then they're going to scream when they leave, because that's what they do. I used to be one of them. Hopefully I didn't wake any of my neighbors up. But I think mindfulness around that point would be awesome. And I would like to know if there is, oh yeah, I see a comment, vomit on the sidewalk is also a lovely thing to encounter. So we hope that doesn't happen too, but I'd like to know who the neighbors can contact if these things do prove to be an issue, and, you know, try to get some relief, because we want, you know, this is a residential neighborhood and we want to have our peace and sleep and not be woken up by screaming drunk college kids.
Well, I understand what your comment, Jen, of course. We definitely are not, we're a restaurant and we hope that we want to endear ourselves to the neighborhood. Our aim is not to be a college bar at all. Our demographics and all our other young professionals to empty nesters. So we don't, that's not our goal, to be a college bar.
I will tell you, Commercial Wharf is next to the Sail Loft, and they've been a great neighbor. They have controlled their crowd and the smoking outside and the noise, and they've just been great. So it can be done. So I'm sure you'll, you know.
I agree. I've been doing this.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for 25+ years. So as my partner.
Terrific.
We started.
Yeah, I just really telling this to the neighborhood. We did have issues years ago with the Sail Off because it was a college crowd, a young person crowd, and people were out, and they were out there at 1 a.m, yelling, screaming, vomit, all of that. They took, this a family-run business, and they took care of it. So it'll be good.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion? Jen, your mic is open. You want to make a motion? We need to vote on this. Dave? Dave Kubiak, I'm opening your mic. Jennifer, I'll put it in a chat.
This is Dave Kubiak. I move that NEWRA members eligible to vote tonight do vote either in support or in opposition to the alcohol license transfer at the Four Winds.
Right, I'm going to second that and email your vote. I'm going to put it in the chat. Send it to NEWRA. Send it to the NEWRA address this time, or you can send it to mine. And that would be great. NEWRA.board@gmail.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. And Jen, we'll be happy to get you guys, Tyrone, he's going to be the manager of record, his contact information. And that way, if there's any issues at the restaurant, there's somebody to contact so that we can deal with it right away.
That's great. That's what we did with the Sail Loft. And it worked out really well. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I'll email you tomorrow, Marcy, the vote. Thanks. All right, next up, I lost my place. 166 Salem Street, Greg McCarthy. Greg, I'm gonna open your mic.
Hello, how are you?
Well, it's 10 minutes to 9, we're getting tired.
Okay, very good. So should I just bring the plans right up and share the
Yeah,
screen?
please. Yep. There you go.
All right, so thanks for having me, everybody. So 166, 168 Salem is currently a 9-unit building. It's 8 residential units and 1 commercial unit on the ground level that was formerly a club that hasn't been used in some time. We are proposing to turn the commercial into residential and to extend the living space to the garden level. We have violation for floor area ratio, and we have a violation for insufficient parking, because when we change the commercial to residential to add 1 residential unit, we would need to provide a parking spot, which we don't have. And then the violation for floor area ratio is for that additional space in the garden level. There, I can show you where the garden level living area is here. I don't know if you can see the mouse, but it's the left picture on the screen right here. We'd originally had bedrooms down there, but we have kind of shifted gears, kind of seeing the BPDA doesn't like them down there, so we changed it to living space in the garden level. And we had originally had a roof deck on the initial plan, but at our abutters meeting, some of the neighbors had expressed some concern with that, so we removed the roof deck altogether. That's basically the outline of the project. I mean, I guess to give a little bit more detail, there's about 6 2-bedrooms, 1 1-bedroom, and 1 3-bedroom in the proposed plans. There's no other changes to the exterior. The biggest change is going to be on the front of the building, where instead of a kind of right now, there's an old storefront. Oh, sorry, I was just there. Now that's going to be finished just to be to match the floors above and just be a full residential brick building rather than a storefront on the first floor. That's basically the overall.
Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any hands going up. Let's see. Nobody has any questions. Oh, hold on. I see. I will open your mic. Mary and Tom, you're up.
Yes, I just wanted to ask.
Identify
It's Tom Schiavone from Snow Hill Street. I had gone to the abutters meeting. I just want to clarify. There are currently 8 apartments. Will the same apartments be changed at all, reconfigured?
Yeah, we have to do some reconfiguring because of the current egress situation in the building. The 4th floor units don't, 4th and 5th floor units don't have access to a second egress. So on the 5th floor, we've made 1 unit which accesses their second egress off the back of the building, down and out. And then on the 4th floor, I can show you as well. That would be right here, units 7 and 8. Originally, there was 2 2-bedroom units here, but this unit on the front didn't have any means of second egress, which is required on the 4th and 5th floor. Even though we're sprinkling the building, it's a requirement no matter what on these floors. So we had to.
My question, I didn't mean to interrupt, but so they are being reconfigured. I know the night is late. I just wanted to state, and I raised this at the abutters meeting, and when you take a commercial space off of the ground floor, and in this instance, the question is, if we're turning it into residential, the magic number, for those who don't know about our city's inclusionary development policy, if you have 10 units in a building that has a zoning variance, it has to be at least 1 in an income restricted apartment. It basically means that you have to build in, along with your plans, you have to include something that is deemed affordable from the city's viewpoint as far as people with restricted incomes. And if you can't do that, if for whatever reason, the alternative is that one unit nearby has to be allocated. In other words, maybe another unit down the street or a condominium unit being bought or provided as an apartment. Or the third alternative is to make a deposit to the city's mitigation fund, a trust fund. And in this instance, the magic number is 9 in our neighborhood, both on North Washington Street, on North Street, and there have been other instances, and it's happening in Chinatown. The Zoning Board of Appeal and the BRA allow there to be 9 units. And I just want my neighbors to know the magic number is 9, because if you go to 10, the inclusionary the development policy kicks in. So that's the only thing I wanted to point to. It's being reconfigured anyway. I'll tell you, the ground floor could be easily, possibly a studio apartment, or certainly accessible for a handicapped person in a wheelchair. So I just want people to know, when you vote for these kinds of things and the limit comes to 9, what we're really doing is missing out on an opportunity to keep one of our neighbors to be able to continue living in the North End. And that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I have a question from someone saying that the fire alarms are going off in the building a lot. Do you know why?
The fire alarm system, yeah, so the fire alarm system was going off in the beginning. It took a while to get it figured out. We're not allowed to, and we've tried to with the fire department to figure out a way to get it to stop, but we're not allowed to shut it down. So we've been doing everything we can. We got, we consulted with them on what we should do. We've been bagging the smoke detectors and really doing everything possible to negate it. But sometimes the debris just gets in and it goes off. And it's been I know for the abutters, it's been a real struggle. And we're trying to get it squared away. We thought it was, and then it just started going off a couple of days ago, and we've been working on getting it fixed and figuring out what we can do to make sure it doesn't go off again, even though it has to stay active.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, we can vote on this. I'll just make a motion to vote to approve or not to approve the plans that Greg presented to us today for 166 Salem Street for 9 residential units. Can somebody second? Just put your hand up, something. Okay. I'm just gonna see if somebody would second this. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. I'm seconding it. Okay, I just saw somebody just said yes. I got an email, a text. Excuse me, a chat. Okay, so please again email the vote, your votes. And I'm not seeing a lot of votes coming in on the first one. I've only seen 2 come in, so please vote. And I'm going to turn this over to Dave. Dave Kubiak is going to talk about a letter that we are going to submit, a comment letter for the Marketplace Center development. Dave, I'm opening your mic. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, and I hope I share the screen better than I mute myself, but
well, everybody should have seen the letter. So if you
yeah,
want to
we
see
had
the
a
highlights.
presentation at the November NEWRA meeting, and then I made another presentation at last month's meeting, and I went through, or mostly through, a working draft of a letter, which was written more like a report. The couple of comments that were made included that the letter should headline the concerns that we have, and then include paragraphs with more detail, but headline them. And the other was, it was clear that there was opposition to the project as it's designed and proposed. Cheryl Del Greco, Victor Brania, and I met yesterday in a Zoom meeting with the president of Friends of Christopher Columbus Park, the president of the Wharf District Council, the president of the Armenian Heritage Foundation, and the director of the Greenway Conservancy. We all talked about this project. Everyone agreed with the points that we had raised, that we raise now in the final draft of the letter. All of them agreed with those points, though we don't yet know whether we're going to be sending the same letters. Cheryl is great, and she's going to coordinate an on-site meeting at the project site with all of those groups to speak with the developer, raise our concerns, and I assume that meeting will be held over the next couple of weeks or so.
It's going to be held on the 22nd of February. You should have gotten
Now, the current deadline for comments to the BPDA is February 25. They extended it from January 27 to February 25. As of yesterday, I was hopeful that it would be extended again well into March. But I noticed today that they've posted an impact advisory group meeting for February 18. Usually they follow that up with a general public meeting. I still think they should extend the comment period at least until the end of February or early March, but it may be before our next March meeting. So we need a vote on this letter. And let me share. And let's see if I do this right this time. Yay! So here's the letter, and it goes to the BPDA, Brian Golden, the director, and Nick Carter. Up above, you see Nick Carter. He's the project manager for the BPDA. And we describe what they're proposing to do, but then we're very clear here keep in mind that this is the very beginning of the BPDA Article 80 review process. So at this point, at the beginning, we are opposing the project as it's been designed and proposed by the developer. The project does not adequately take into account the site's sensitive location along the Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy Greenway and key connection to Boston Harbor and downtown waterfront parks, including those. I believe this location is the most sensitive location along the entire Greenway, and that's because it connects directly a historic area, Quincy Market, Faneuil Hall, that whole market district, to very important open green spaces, the Greenway, Armenian Heritage Park, Christopher Columbus Park, and the rest of the waterfront and the harbor itself. So this is an especially sensitive location, and this project does not take that into account. This project is no different than any other office project that we've seen lately. And then down below, the project violates the city's zoning code development guidelines and goals. The BRA itself, some may want to call it the BPDA, but there's still the BRA. The BRA itself did planning along the Greenway district. And the plan, that plan calls for certain limitations at this site, certain design requirements at this site. It asks that the site be used primarily for marketing because it is in the market district. So many things in the guidelines, the planning guidelines prepared by the BRA are being violated by this project, including the height. They want to go from the current 35 feet to 125 feet by adding 7 more floors. And the Greenway guidelines seek something much lower than that. And I think I said that, it's off the top of my head right now. I'm
75.
forgetting. Is it 75 feet? 75. Yeah. So, oh, there it is. Height should be limited to 75 feet. They're proposing to go to 125 feet. The BPDA right off the bat should say, no, you're violating the planning that we did 10 or 12 years ago. But the BPDA is not doing that. And I've heard from many folks along the Greenway that the BPDA has put that plan and those guidelines on some very high shelf and is basically ignoring it. As they did, by the way, at Government Center Garage. They're allowing that lab building to go to 200 feet when their own planning put a limitation of 120 feet for any building along the Greenway. The PNF project would create a greater barrier and impacts upon important and sensitive public realm resources. The report says that their project is going to remove a barrier. No, it isn't. And I can show you photos, if you haven't already seen them, that are renderings that show what a much greater barrier is going to be created between Faneuil Hall Marketplace and the green open spaces. The PNF project would significantly increase a use that is inappropriate and unnecessary for the site and for the city. It's off, they're proposing to convert what is now primarily a market building, all those retail establishments, into something that's primarily going to be an office building. Well, an office building is not appropriate for that location. That is the market district. This is another one of the BRA's plans that they themselves might violate by allowing an office building within the market district. The BPDA BRA created this market district. They did a market district study that calls for market type programming within the district, not an office building. The project lacks pedestrian accommodation and compromises safety. The project does nothing to improve the pedestrian experience. In fact, they want to fill in those pedestrian galleries along the front of the retail establishments facing Quincy Market. They want to fill those in. Why? Because they want more rentable space, apparently. There's no enhancement of the pedestrian experience, no improvement for pedestrians. And at the same time, they want to put a 3-vehicle drop-off lane into the sidewalk right at the crosswalk that brings you from this project over to the Greenway. That area is already dangerous given the curve in the road, the amount of traffic, and now they want to put this 3-vehicle drop-off location there that could block views of drivers approaching that crosswalk. And also cars or trucks going in and out of that drop-off are going to affect the traffic coming through. And then landscaping and trees, they talk about how they want to improve things, but there's nothing in the report that shows any improvement to landscaping, any additional trees, or any replacement of trees that are already removed at that location or in bad shape at that location. They don't provide in this report an assessment of the current landscaping and the current trees that are there, and propose nothing specifically, nothing new. And that's it. So we end with this statement. As stated above, NEWRA urges the BPDA to require an alternative redevelopment plan from the proponent that meets the goals of prior planning and zoning and a renewed vision for this important connection of government center in the market district to the resources of Boston Harbor and its waterfront. That's it, Cheryl. Unless people want to see views of this, they can ask. If they're not familiar with the project, I can bring up some views.
No, we don't need to do that. It's after 9. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Mary, hold on. Why don't I see your, oh, you're at the top. That's probably why. All right, there you go.
Am I unmuted?
There you go, Mary.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I just would like to say that David has done, excuse me, yeoman's work in summarizing all of the concerns and objections to this proposal as it stands. We did have an opportunity to discuss it before, and I think that he has really included the concerns. And so I would just like to move that we vote to approve the submission of this letter as written.
I would second that. And I would also like to thank Dave for the enormous amount of work he puts into these letters and the research he does, and also Victor Bronya, who also works on these. Thank you both. No questions? People want to, you can email me, or you could put your hands up or open your camera and wave. I'm just trying to figure out the easiest way to do it. Oh, we're getting a lot of waves. Thank you
wave.
very much. I greatly
No, we don't
appreciate
need
it
to
because
wave.
I'm the one who has to count all the votes.
Oh, wait. He's counting the votes.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I think we can do it on a voice vote by waving your hand, opening your
okay.
hand.
I don't.
Unless anybody
know.
has any issue with this letter and doesn't want the letter to go, please put it in the chat or email me or something, call me or Dave, but I think we're good to go with this letter. The letter was actually sent out to everybody to review as well earlier this week through Google Docs. We finally figured that out, so that was great. Thank you, Sarah. I don't think Sarah's on. I think she's left already. All right, unless there's anything else, we can adjourn. We'll see you on March 10th. Thank you, everyone. We'll put the final letter up on the website too. Have a
Thank
good
you.
week.